Hello. Well, today we interrupt our work on the new screw for the Vivo Vice. If you're following that, sorry, don't know when this is coming out. Could be in the middle, could be at the end. To make some window catches for a Drewry diesel shunter for the Derwent Valley Light Railway, which is near here, Preserve Railway, all of that. So they sent the railway Drewry diesel cab away for some remanufacturing and repairs, and when it came back the window catches were missing. So I've been asked by a friend, will I make them? Okay, I'll show you. But first, today's auto jumble finds. So for those of you in foreign parts, £1 UK is $1.37 US, which is also €1.16. So, slitting saw, 50p, half a pound. 2 Kennametal inserts, TNMG 16s, £3, so £1.50 each. Pity there weren't more of those, that's what I was looking for. This 90° Morse taper 2 countersink, £1. One smaller Murton Farming square, stamped with the initials DH, thank you very much. £5 in its box. And then the best thing today was this Murton Farming internal bore micrometer set. So Imperial, the micrometer just adjusts to ½ inch, there's a space of ½ inch, and then the rods. So this covers 2 inches to 8 inches. There were 2 sets. This one had thicker rods, but the ends were lovely and polished. The other was a little bit rusty in places. I added this bit of foam and it was £10. So that's today's haul. So this is what we're making today. So I've got some stock. To make this easy, I'm going to make these window catches in 3 parts. And it's basically just a kind of turnbuckle thing, or a thumb turn, like half of a wing nut really. So this is the bit that you squeeze with your fingers and rotate it around that axis, and this bit sticking out here goes up to stop the windows flapping open or whatever. This is from the side view, of course. It's a ½ inch Whitworth thread, a stub on the end, and a pin goes through to stop the nut falling off. There's a washer. The nut and the washer they'll supply, so I just have to make this thing here. And to give you an idea, that's 1 3/4 inches to there, that bit to there, 1 3/8 inches here. So it gives you some idea about the scale of it. So I'll start by machining these here, and I'll put because I'm going to fabricate this, I'll put a peg on the end, drill a hole in there, and weld it at the top, and then that'll make that piece join to this piece, and then I'll put this on and then weld it probably here and here, because it doesn't take much force. Now I'm using this stock, so 3/4 wide, 1 inch wide, 1/4 thick, 19mm or 3/4. This is all EN3B, which is 1020. So I'm just trying to cut down the amount of manual, filing and sawing I'm going to have to do. I've made a couple of templates. So there's a template for the bit, this bit here. There's a template for the finger turn bit there, which is that bit there, look. I'll make sure you're on camera. No, it isn't really on, is it? Let's have a look. There we are. So there's one template, look. And there's the other. That's it, just out of plastic, and I can scratch around it. Now I'd like to make these ends nicely curved, and I just don't know. If I'm hand filing it, they won't be, I can tell you that. So we'll just have to have a bit of thought, but I'll make these pins first, and we'll go from there. Here's a question for you. So here's a couple of steel stockist charts showing the colours for the various grades of steel. They're not standardised, but many of them are the same. When I look at EN3B, trust me, that's blue and that one's blue. Okay, so we'd expect to see it was blue. And it isn't. Look, it's this kind of orangey pinky colour. Don't suppose that's going to focus. Let's try. So you can see the colour anyway. So I'm always suspicious when I buy things from eBay, even from stockists. You know, I want to just try and confirm it's what they say. And I bought it as EN3B. So do you know, are you familiar with orange as a colour for EN3B? Let me know. Let's try out one of these new Kenner metal inserts. This is where we are with it. 3/8, ½ inch, quarter, 3/4, 3/4 diameter. I've just used this parting blade to put a mark on it because the work finishes here with this 3/4 by quarter, but then I need to put a peg on the back, and that's the slightly more tricky part. Now I've got a parting tool that might do that, but you can take a bet. I mean, that is 3/16 wide, it would do. And I'll just leave a peg of maybe 1/4 or something, and that'll go into the next part. We shall see. But anyway, now I'm going to thread it. So I need to thread it to about there, ½ inch Whitworth. ½ inch Whitworth split die. Now I've already been told by you guys not to pull the chuck round with the key. Meaning this, which is convenient, but they say it wears these keys here, so I won't. But that's easier said than done. Oh. But we'll get this started straight, take it out, finish it held in the vise. As it cuts, screw keeps it at 90. If you keep that up against it, obvious, I'm sure you know all this. I want to put the key in. I've got some of this on it. So we don't go all the way to the end. We stop about there, I think. I'll try a nut on it. That's looking all right, actually. Try a nut on it, and then, if need be, go down again with the die a bit tighter. That's going. It maybe just needs a bit more off. So I'll close that. I could hand turn that on, just about. But I might just go down it again with a die slightly closed. Not much, just slightly. The thread has to stop 3/16 from the end. Now, obviously it's a helix, so it depends where you measure it. But I'll check it with this scale that I got from Dean at Ayr Cave Shop. I won a raffle he was running. Pulled my name out of the hat, and he sent this to me from California. Shah's scale. And it's, hold on, it's really useful for doing imperial work because everything is in divisions of a 64th, a 32nd, a 16th, an 8th, quarters, and so on. Whereas if you use a mixed metric and imperial scale for imperial work, it's a bit harder. So this is very good, thank you, Dean. Try my test nut on it. Perfect. Now I'm going to have to drill this cross hole here for the split pin, because otherwise I won't have a way to hold this really once I've parted it off. Near enough, I think. Do you see how clear that scale is? It doesn't give a size for this hole, but I'm going to go with 3mm. My peg is going to be 8mm, which is 5/16 in old money. Automatic feed, cross feed, and we're watching the dial counting down to 5.5mm, or counting up if you want. take it steady, and then when we're down to 5.5mm on the dial, that should be 8mm, so we're coming down from 19 to 8, and then we'll widen this out, and that will give me my peg, which is going to go into the next piece. We're running at 270 RPM, and I recently put a new blade in this, so when we come round to 0, that's 4. So we're looking for 1.5 on the dial. Not far off. Can you stand the suspense? There. Well, I've been trying to use this high-speed steel blade, but it's just too wide and there's too much vibration. So what I'm going to try and do is use the parting tool and make another cut there, and then take the middle out with this. Well, this isn't going to work, so I'm just going to part it right off by here, 3/16 from this edge here, and then just put it back in the chuck, clamping on here. I'd prefer not to do it because it's threaded, but let's just do it, eh? Let's hope I've got the height of this cutting blade set right. Whoop. Apparently I have. Well, that's window catch 1, part 1. I don't really fancy making 3 more of those, but never mind. So that peg will go into an 8mm hole drilled in there, come through, and we'll just go in with a bit of TIG at the top. Just a tack to start with. That's looking okay. You know, they talk about AI, but I said to my phone, cut this out for me, and absolutely nothing happened. I still had to do it myself. Well, that's looking quite good, but I do need to check it and make sure it's absolutely true. Now I need to divert to another job because my son's bought another car, changed the cam. It's a Passat estate, really cheap car, non-runner basically. He's changed the cam, that's all fine. He's gone to fill the oil and he's found the oil plug is put in with silicone sealant. So we need to re-tap the oil plug. It was a 14 fine, it needs to be a 16 fine because that's what we've got. So I need to break off to that now. And this will be resumed probably another day now. Quick trip down to the Derwent Valley yard this morning, and we're going to test fit that on the window there. And that's the window. There's 4 of those. So they pivot horizontally, as you can see, and the catch goes at the top. It's a very basic mechanism, but it's effective. So this has just passed its commissioning test. They've spent 4 years renovating it. I don't know quite what the right phrase is, I'll find out later, but I'm going to say safety and commissioning test. And there's the catch. And it works. So I just need to make 3 more now. It's only a short line, but they've got plenty of stock here in the yard, and it's attached to the Murton Farming Museum. So you get lots of schools parties. We'll do this in 3 cuts, from 3/4 down to 1/2 inch. Hello. I'm just parting off. My son's just stuck his head round the door. Don't kick the camera stand. Making progress on the other 3. I need to machine the peg on there now to drop in there. Well, I can't put it off any longer. The next step is going to be lots of cutting, filing, grinding to shape these. They're all shaped now. Next, welding. Well, that's my bit done. I'm sure they'll polish up and paint them. Now stop on for a bit of history about that Drewry shunter. And while you're looking at that, I'm going to tidy up this workshop because it is such a mess. Too many jobs on the go at once. So I'm with Ed, who's the project manager for the restoration, and he's going to tell us a bit about the history of it.
Yeah. So the locomotive was built in 1941 for the War Department in Preston. Shortly thereafter it was sent to Egypt by boat, and she served in Egypt until about 1945.
Yeah.
In 1947 she was sold out of military service and ended up at Trafford, BP Shell Trafford Park Works in Manchester.
Right. Yeah.
And then what's it called, shortly, I think it was like 1951-52, she ended up at Yarrow in Tyneside. She continued there until overhaul in 1964, where she received these new side sheets instead of the original lift-off doors.
Oh right, yeah, I looked online and I saw those big panels are quite different from the originals.
So I think these were done in about 1964 when it was sent back to sent to Bagley's for restoration. I think it's a fairly comprehensive overhaul she had.
Yes.
Then after that she ended up at Saltend Terminal in Humberside near Hull.
Yes.
And she continued working there until 1984, believe it or not.
Wow.
And then after that she was donated to the North Yorkshire Moors, and she...
Railway, North Yorkshire Moors Railway, yeah.
And then she continued there in service, we think, until about 1996, but we're not entirely sure exactly what year, because the records have been lost for it.
Yes.
After that it was unceremoniously dumped in the yard for 20 years, and well, until about 2021, was it?
2021 it came here.
Yeah.
2021, right.
And since then we've been restoring it to working order. She was actually made operational last year, but unfortunately she couldn't run public trains because we didn't have vacuum brakes fitted for working passenger trains.
Right, right.
So over the course of last year we've been fitting it out for vacuum, getting the exhausts to draw the vacuum, and making sure it's ready for service, which will be happening later this month.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. So how is it funded then? Is it just donations or?
It's been funded by the North Yorkshire Moors at York Area Group, who owned the locomotive.
Right, okay, okay. And so it'll be pulling passengers on this line when? Do you know? Do you know yet?
Well, I do. Week's time, but...
Oh, a week's time, that's it, that'll do, a week's time. Fantastic, right, well it's a beautiful day for it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well the thing for me is, let me see if I can get in front of the camera. Can you see me? The thing for me is then I need to recover that catch now, take it back and make the other 4. Ruston. That's the strobe effect on the wheel there. It's not going that slowly.
The Duke of Ongar. This is 1898 machine. It's the Charlton of Cramlington.